On lap 2, Ryan Preece's vehicle caught fire. In the wall was Kyle Larson. In the wall was Ryan Blaney. Chase Elliott never reached the last part. Ross Chastain was never able to reach the last part. In a single lap, 9 vehicles were damaged. At Dover Motor Speedway, there were 2 pileups before the majority of spectators had even taken their seats. The goal of the NASCAR All-Star race at the Monster Mile was to highlight the greatest in sports. Rather, it became one of the most turbulent, contentious, and talked about exhibition races in recent memory. After surviving the entire ordeal and earning $1 million, Denny Hamlin stood in victory lane and explained to NASCAR exactly what should be done with this event moving forward. And many people in the sport will be really uncomfortable with what he said. Let's start with lap 2 since the events that transpired there set the tone for the entire afternoon. This includes a man who, regardless of the race he is in, can't seem to avoid controversy. Ryan Preece, the same driver who deliberately wrecked Ty Gibbs in Texas and received a $50,000 fine and 25 points. The same driver, whose punishment NASCAR defended by claiming he communicated his plans via team radio prior to making contact. On the second lap of the race today at Dover, Preece appeared to clip Kyle Larson and careen right into the outside wall of Turn 1 while he was running 3 wide exiting Turn 4. His number 60 RFK Racing Ford skidded to a stop and caught fire. The Preece used his own strength to climb out of the window net. Before the race had even begun, safety personnel raced to the scene, and the field came to a complete stop under red flag conditions. In all, 9 vehicles were gathered. Ryan Preece, Todd Gilliland, Michael McDowell, John Hunter Nemechek, Cole Custer, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott. 9 vehicles. The second lap. Everyone's initial concern was whether Preece had done it again before a single stage was finished and before anyone had even viewed the entire replay. Whether the largest collision of the entire All-Star weekend was caused by the man who was punished weeks earlier for wrecking someone. After leaving the infield treatment facility, Preece himself approached Jamie Little during the Fox Sports broadcast and gave one of the more candid and unexpected remarks of the day. He claimed to be all right. He claimed to be able to withstand severe blows. He apologized if it was his fault. After that, he spoke the line that, within minutes, was making the rounds on social media. "It's a difficult way to end a race on the first lap," he remarked. "I'll just move on to Charlotte," he continued. "There are no justifications, no accusations, and no well-crafted statements with supporting information. A simple admission that he may have pressed a move that he most likely shouldn't have pushed for. In a split second, that is Ryan Preece. He is utterly erratic, totally sincere, and somehow always at the center of the most significant events of every race weekend he attends." The entire event was drastically altered by the crash. Despite appearing to be the most attractive driver in the field aside from Tyler Reddick and having won back-to-back points races, Chase Elliott never reached the final 200-lap stage at Dover. In the first segment, he was knocked out. Ross Chastain also failed to make it. 6 circuits into Section 2, he and Brad Keselowski collided. Chastain smacked the inside wall hard after spinning down the backstretch. Keselowski was done for the afternoon after driving his worn-out number 6 Ford backward to the pit road. Before the main event even started, 2 of the sport's most well-known names were eliminated. On All-Star Race Day, it was the tale of the Monster Mile. The accomplishment was survival. Winning was hardly important. Of all the people on the grid, Bubba Wallace had one of the most fascinating days. He performed one of the more audacious movements of the afternoon after surviving the early pandemonium and finishing in the top 3 for most of Segment 1. Carson Hocevar slammed the wall in Turn 3 after suffering a flat right front tire with 14 circuits remaining in Section 1. Leading at the time, Hamlin continued to drive on worn-out tires. In search of new tires, William Byron drove 17 vehicles down the pit road. Bubba Wallace stayed out, and on old tires, he began second behind Hamlin when the race resumed. The segment has 3 laps remaining. Bubba Wallace stole the lead in his own boss's race in Turn 4 by driving around Denny Hamlin's outside. With 3 laps remaining, Bubba defeated the co-owner of 2,311 Racing in a race for the sector victory. After he won the first section, there was another huge crash on the front stretch with 3 laps remaining. Alex Bowman contacted Riley Herbst after he came loose when leaving Turn 4. Chase Elliott, John Hunter Nemechek, Zane Smith, Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Noah Gragson, and other players were gathered in the ensuing stack-up. There are 9 more vehicles involved. Wallace won the segment, which concluded under yellow. In the first 150 laps of an exhibition race, there were 2 distinct 9-car pileups. On a Sunday afternoon, that is the Monster Mile. With 5 victories in 12 races this season, Tyler Reich was the overwhelming favorite going into Dover. With 9 laps remaining in the cleanest and easiest of the 3 segments, he defeated Chase Briscoe to win segment 2. He had the speed to win the entire race, but in a race when attrition was already severe, the 100-lap invert for the last 200-lap phase put him in traffic after starting him 10th on the grid. He did not place in the top 20. This season, his domination has been unprecedented. However, Dover today served as a reminder that survival, rather than the best car, is often rewarded in demonstration races with chaotic formats and 90-degree concrete surfaces. Denny Hamlin was the man who fared the best today. Despite spinning throughout his lap, Hamlin began from the pole after winning qualifying on Saturday. 103 of the 350 laps, including the last 30, were led by him. Chase Briscoe, his own Joe Gibbs Racing teammate, presented him with his sole significant obstacle in the last phase. Briscoe pushed him to the limit in the last moments before Hamlin drew away at lap 322 and never looked back. There was no margin at the checkered flag. Over Briscoe, 887 seconds. In a truly remarkable race for the 19-year-old Trackhouse rookie, Eric Jones finished 3rd, Austin Dillon 4th, and Connor Zilisch 5th. Hamlin also received $1 million. "Mama," was his only response when asked where the money was going during the Fox Sports show. However, this is the portion of today's tale that transcends the outcome, the wrecks, and the mayhem. This is the crucial element about the event's future. After winning today's All-Star race, Denny Hamlin stood in victory lane and expressed what the majority in the garage had been thinking all week. He stated, "The first thing is to give Dover their points race back, music, and then figure out where this event is going to go, and then figure out the format." This is the race winner directly informing NASCAR that it was a mistake to take dues points race away in order to host the All-Star race. This man, who recently won $1 million at this track, is informing the sanctioning authority that the event has no long-term place here. Earlier this week, Chase Elliott stated that of all the All-Star races in his career, this weekend felt the least All-Star. The loudest possible indication of the feeling is when Hamlin wins the race and then declares, "Give up over their points race back." All weekend long, there was disagreement around the format itself. It was nearly as long as a typical points race, 350 laps. 10 drivers were sent home following each of the first 275-lap segments, which were essentially qualifying sessions for the final 200 laps. The idea of a non-points demonstration race that eliminates drivers prior to the main event confused spectators, irritated teams, and resulted in 2 9-car pileups before the race was even halfway over. Prior to the race, Ryan Blaney predicted that frantic open race drivers attempting to move into the last phase will damage drivers. He was one of the drivers who was picked up in the process, and he was entirely correct. 7 unplanned warnings. 2 enormous pileups of 9 cars. On lap 2, Ryan Preece was on fire. Before the main event, Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott were all eliminated. After earning $1 million, Denny Hamlin demanded that NASCAR return their points race. This was the Monster Mile's first All-Star race, and given all that transpired today, it may also be the last. In the sense that only NASCAR anarchy can be, the mayhem was entertaining. However, a course that consumed half the field before the halfway mark, music, and entertainment based on a format that no one understands are not viable justifications for continuing the event. Denny Hamlin has now won 2 All-Star races. 11 years ago, he had his first at Charlotte. Today at Dover was his second. He performed a masterclass in the last laps and was the best car on the circuit in the last segment. That portion of today's narrative is authentic and merits due recognition. However, everyone in NASCAR realized exactly what this weekend was when he added, "Give them back their points race in victory lane." A test that yielded results that no one was interested in, and an incident that requires a whole new course before it recurs.